Have you ever wondered how much it costs to run an app like Uber for a single day? Or what key decision could make or break it before anyone even writes a single line of code? Well, today, we're looking at the official blueprint for a brand new ride-sharing company, Luxx Infinity, and we're going to see the exact tech choices that answer those questions.
Right. It's a question you hear all the time, but the answer is usually just, oh, it's complicated. Today, we're moving past all that vague stuff. We had the complete technical report. So let's dive in and see how it's really done.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the app you actually see on your phone, then we'll go behind the scenes to what I'm calling the back-end engine room. After that, we'll get into the real-time tech that makes those little cars move on the map, and finally, we'll put all the pieces together, see the full blueprint, and talk about what it all costs.
Now, the challenge here is just huge. You're trying to build a system that's scalable, real-time, and super reliable, something that can actually compete with the giants. Every single technical choice we're about to look at is made with that big goal in mind.
Okay, so let's start with the thing the user actually holds in their hand, the mobile app. I mean, for both the rider and the driver, this is the face of the entire company. The foundation here has to be rock solid.
So the first big decision is how to build the app. Instead of writing the code twice, once for iPhones and once for Android, the smart move is to use a cross-platform framework. That means you write the code once and it runs on both. The two biggest players in this space are Expo, which uses JavaScript, and Google's Flutter, which uses a language called Dart. And they have some really fundamental differences.
And for Luxx Infinity, the winner is Expo. So why? It all comes down to efficiency. Their web and back-end developers are already using JavaScript, so they can all jump in and work on the mobile app too. That is a massive win. Plus, Expo has this killer feature called over-the-air updates. So imagine they find a critical bug. Instead of waiting days for Apple or Google to approve a fix, they can just push it directly to everyone's phone, instantly. Game changer.
So the really crucial point here is synergy. When you stick with one language, JavaScript in this case, across the entire company, you can hire faster, you can build new features quicker, and your teams can all work together seamlessly. It's really as much a strategic business decision as it is a technical one.
All right, let's move on to the central nervous system of the whole app, the backend, and its long-term memory, the database. This is where all the magic happens, matching rides, figuring out pricing, and handling all the user data.
Okay, for the back end, the brains of the operation, you need a framework to give your code some structure. Think of it like the chassis of a car. The choice here is between Fastify, which is kind of like a lightweight, stripped-down racing chassis built for pure speed, and Nest.js, which is more like a luxury car chassis, with lots of built-in features for safety and structure.
You gotta remember, in a ride-sharing app, every millisecond matters. A 1-second delay in updating a car's location could mean a missed pickup. Fastify's raw speed gives Luxx Infinity a critical edge here. It ensures the system can handle thousands of drivers and riders, all talking at once with basically no lag.
Next up, the database. This is the app's long-term memory. The choice here is between a specialized tool or, well, a multi-tool. On one side, you have Neon, which is a pure, super high-performance database. On the other, you have Superbase, which is more like a Swiss Army knife. It has a database, yeah, but it also bundles in authentication, storage, and a bunch of other features.
So since Luxx Infinity is building its own custom backend, they don't really need all the extra tools in that Swiss Army knife. They just need the best possible blade, and that's Neon. It's serverless, which is just a fancy way of saying it automatically scales way up for Friday night rush hour and then scales way down to almost zero cost at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. You only pay for what you use, and you're not paying for a bunch of features you've already built yourself. It's just smart.
Okay. Now for the part that makes a ride-sharing app feel alive, almost magical. We're talking about the live location tracking and the instant communication between the rider, the driver, and the server.
This is a classic 1-2 punch. Google Maps platform gives you all the geographic intelligence, the maps, the routes, the traffic data, everything. But how does that data get from the driver's phone to your phone instantly? That's where Sockets.io comes in. It creates this constant open connection, think of it like a live phone call, between the app and the server. And that's what allows for that seamless, real-time tracking you see on the map.
And this is such a key lesson. For your most critical features, you do not experiment. You go with the proven industry standard. Socket.io is trusted by giants like Uber and Microsoft for a reason. It's battle-tested. If a driver goes through a tunnel and loses signal for a second, Socket.io automatically handles the reconnection without losing any data. That kind of reliability is completely non-negotiable.
So let's put all these pieces together.
We've picked our mobile framework, our backend, our database, and our real-time engine. What does the final blueprint actually look like when it all comes together?
You can see the architecture is actually really clean and logical. The mobile apps, built with Expo, talk to the Fastify backend. That backend then acts like the central conductor of an orchestra, managing all the real-time updates with Socket.io and talking to all the other services like the database and authentication.
This chart really puts it all into perspective. Notice how every single choice supports the others. That why it was chosen column really tells the story. Expo and Fastify use the same language. The database, Neon, is serverless so it can handle those demand spikes. And we see a new service here, Clerk, which is a specialized tool that just handles user login and security. Another perfect example of using a best-in-class tool for a critical job. It all just fits together like a puzzle.
And here's the part that might just blow your mind: the cost. You'd think a system this powerful would cost a fortune to run, right? But look at this. By choosing these modern, developer-focused services like Neon for the database and Clerk for logins, the initial monthly bill is incredibly low. That's all thanks to their generous free plans for startups. And as the company grows, the costs just scale predictably right along with it. There are no huge upfront server costs or shocking monthly bills. Every single dollar you spend is directly tied to a ride actually being completed. That is the financial power of building with a modern, serverless-first architecture.
The report even gives us a timeline. With this well-chosen stack that really prioritizes the developer experience, a small team could get a minimum viable product, a real, working app for both drivers and riders, out to market in about 4 to 5 months. That's fast. So, let's take a step back from the specific technologies for a second. What are the big picture principles we can learn from this blueprint? What are the key takeaways for anyone out there trying to build a modern app? Well, it really boils down to these 5 things. First, create a unified ecosystem with one common language. Second, design for scale from day one with serverless tools. Third, prioritize the developer experience. Happy, efficient developers build better stuff faster. Fourth, keep your initial costs super low by using those free tiers. And finally, for the parts that absolutely positively cannot fail, you use the battle-tested industry standards.
So there you have it, a complete professional-grade blueprint for a modern ride-sharing app. It's a powerful, really well-reasoned approach. But, no blueprint is perfect for every single situation. So looking at this whole stack, I have to ask you, what's the one component you would change and why? Is there a faster database out there? A cheaper mapping service? Maybe a better mobile framework for your specific needs? That is the billion-dollar question.